Welcome back to Local to Global here on Spike Pile Driver. My name is Anders, and this is a series where we're taking a completely blank start, new small promotion, zero everything, zero popularity, money, prestige, everything like that, and trying to make them the biggest company in the world. It was using the 1992 Chronicles database for Total Extreme Wrestling 9, and we're now into August of 1997. So if you're new here, make sure you get yourself subscribed, like the video, watch the rest of the content here on the playlists. For both the Local to Global series and the WCW 2000 series. If you are new and you want to join in, make sure you join in. Comment down below. I will respond back to your comments. I will try and respond back to all of them. I may forget, but I do generally try and get back to everyone as quick as possible. If you want to support on the Patreon, feel free to do so as well. There are 3 tiers that you can pledge your support to the channel on. They have different quirks and benefits from subscribing to or joining as a member on that tier, so please do that. The link's down in the description. But without any further ado, we're going to get into today's episode of Local to Global. It's as I said, August of 1997. We're going to do our TV taping first, and we've got some news on the TV taping front as well, because we decided to do the All-Star Wrestling show in the Midlands in the UK about 4 or 5 days early. This was just a few days ago in game. And that got us a 43 show rating, which gave us the size boost in the Midlands to get us to 34, which we then used to get, we can't show you the broadcasting deal, but get the broadcasting deal in Europe and the UK, small on Eurosport. So that's new and in place, ready for this block of TV tapings. And what we're doing with the TV tapings is we're taping 3 episodes of Unleashed tonight, and then in 4 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, however it works, we'll take 2. And then that'll get us to the next pay-per-view, which is Hostile Territory. So we're going to kind of go 3 or 2 each month to try and get through, depending on how many weeks are between each pay-per-view. Yo, monkey boy, listen up. If you ain't all jacked up, then hit the bricks and subscribe to some other loser. But if you are jacked and you are ready to let someone feel the bang, then subscribe to me. It's not like there's a choice anyway. Right, before we get into things, let's have a quick look at our championship situation as well. So Rob Van Dam is our World Heavyweight Champion. He finally got rid of Raven in our last episode, our last pay-per-view, beat him in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Finally pinned him when the title was on the line. He's been champion since January. We've got our World Television Champion, who is currently Marcus Bagwell, who's held the title since the beginning of June. Tag Team Champions are a bit of an odd couple team of Andre the Giant and Perry Saturn. They've been champions now for 33 days. Probably not going to have a lengthy reign, but they are currently our World Tag Team Champions. Then we've got our Junior Heavyweight Championship, which is currently being held by Jeff Hardy. He's had it since the end of May, 77 days now in his reign. And we've got our King of Combat, which probably won't be this episode. It's now August, so yeah, this happens in November. This is basically like our Royal Rumble. We have a Battle Royal, and the winner gets a title shot, essentially. But we've got our season finale to happen before that, which is in October. Before we get to anything, though, let's go through our Unleashed TV taping. And we have, you'll notice here, it says 90 minutes. We've extended the runtime of Unleashed now from 1 hour to an hour and a half. So we're going to have 5 matches, basically, each show, rather than 3. And we're extending our pay-per-view out to 2 hours as well. Now we're getting bigger. We've got more people to fit on the shows, essentially, and we're hiring some more people as well. We're trying to fill out the tag team ranks. That's one of the goals with a lot of the people we're trying to hire recently. But we'll get to that later in the episode as we hire them. We'll start the show now at the Louisville Gardens, and RVD is out to start the show, celebrating his career-defining victory over Raven. It's terrible without a script, though. He only gets a 73, so what would it have been if he hadn't done terrible without a script? He knows life as champion won't slow down, though, and now he needs to set his sights on Mark Merrow and begin scouting his next challenger. We then get into the action as Tim Horner defeats Todd Champion in actually a really good match. Gets a 62. Both men in the mid-50s, but that's shockingly good for 2 mid-card guys who don't really have any direction whatsoever. I'll keep my eye on both of them and maybe use them a little bit more going forward. We then will naturally have a bit of a letdown as 2 of our junior heavyweights who've got very little popularity are wrestling next, as Takumi Shinoku defeats Super Delphine, both in the high 30s, low 40s, which is to be expected with their lower popularity. It's going to bring the crowd down a little bit because they don't have any investment in either of them, but we're going to try and build up some members of our junior roster to see if we can get rid of this penalty every time we have a match with them. Gets to 35 though, and we move on to a video package of Terry Funk and Van Hammer. Funk is putting Van Hammer through a tough workout at his dojo. Covers the usual basics, but with Funk screaming in Hammer's face. And ends with Funk getting frustrated at his lack of progress and smacking him with a steel chair, because that is how a good teacher teaches his students. 49. I was expecting a little bit better, but still, not bad. Then they have a tag team match, which gets a better rating, as they defeat Rhino and Don Callis, who are two people we've not used in a long time. Rhino, obviously a former TV champion, but his kind of push peaked at the TV title and fell straight off because his in-ring is just not quite there yet. But a 61 is basically because of Terry Funk with his 73 performance. Everyone else in their 30s or 40s dragging things down, but Funk doing enough to get a good rating out of the match. We then go to Raven, who struggles this time. We're going off script. Clearly disappointed with his loss to RVD at Endgame, is very guarded about what his plans for the future are and where he goes next now that the door to the world title is temporarily closed. I'm not sure what we're going to do Raven next, so we'll see. 81 though for a good promo, and then he has a good match against Joey Maggs and gets the victory, of course. Raven with a 72, Maggs with a 53, and it gets a 75 overall rating for the match, which is really actually quite good, and hopefully he's going to be beaten by our main event, which we'll get to in a second. But Mark Merrow confirms that he'll be getting a world title shot at Hostile Territory. He respects and even likes RVD, but he's willing to get hostile in order to win the world title, and he does an exceptional job and gets a 91 rating for his promo, because of course he does. We love Mark Merrow. He then has a main event which gets an 80 against Samu. Both men putting in sterling performances. Merrow does enough though to get the job done and the victory to close out the first episode of the TV taping, and we increase our popularity in 32 regions with a 78 rated show, because of course we do. That's brilliant. Right, we're going to have to move on to episode number 2 of the block. Obviously, we're doing 3, remember, tonight. So we need to try and remember who we are putting in what match. We've got RVD in the main event. And we need to make sure we put the angles in the right place as well. We've got the Kid against Rex King. Another Terry Funk video. And then we need to make sure we get the rest of the matches in the right order. Now we want to go, who's going to have, okay, so we want this one here. We're going to have to start out with a Jeff Hardy Ice Train match, and I'm not sure if I covered this in the last episode, but Ice Train is off to the WWF, so you can probably guess who's going to win this one. Let's just come off of this screen for a second. Let's make sure we're fulfilling the storytelling requirement. So we're going to go straight into it. Episode 2 of the night, 129 overall. I have a feeling I've misnamed the angles and matches, by the way. But anyway, Jeff Hardy gets the victory in the opener, gets a 63 for the match, a 51 for his in-ring performance, 58 for Ice Train, unfortunately leaving us. But Swanton Bomb is enough for Jeff Hardy to pick up a very, very good victory. That's going to help his popularity no end. We then get a Steven Regal promo. He's here and talks about how much he hates being in America. He can't wait to get back home again and says hello to the disgusting UK fans watching on Eurosport. He faces a Mexican tonight and they aren't much better either. He doesn't like many people, does old Steven Regal. Gets a 55 for his promo, and hopefully we're going to get him over a little bit. The crowd are not interested in the match though, but he still manages to get a 52 with a victory over Flamante Turbo. Both men with some really strong in-ring performances. I'm trying to get Regal back into positive momentum to try and get him over more, because he's a real good wrestler and really good in the ring. Yes, that 67 kind of shows you, but that is enough there. We then get a promo from Andre the Giant and Perry Saturn, the tag team champions. They're here for a mandatory defense as they turn it. The angle idea is a little bit of a failure though, and they promise to both squash and eliminate all competition. I'm battering around ideas for the team name of going for Giant Elimination, but I'm probably not going to name them. 62 though is another solid angle. Excellent stuff. The match itself gets a 58, which is not bad. Saturn obviously does all the legwork, and they defeat El Hijo del Diablo and El Hijo del Solidario, who are two members of the junior roster, and both put in some pretty solid mid-30s performance. Saturn gets a 65. Andre still nice and solid in the mid-40s. You can't really complain about that. It's 1997 and Andre the Giant still wrestling, which does not Makes sense. But gets a 58 for the match overall, and we move on to another Funk and Van Hammer video. Hammer looks to be improving a little bit, but Funk is using a cattle prod to encourage harder work. He's still not impressed, but at least he doesn't lay his protege out at the end of the video, which is an improvement. Gets another 49. We then cut to a Kid against Rex King match. Kid gets a victory in 10 minutes. This is just basically to keep him ticking, essentially. Gets a 58. Can't really complain about that, and this is obviously going to be a lower rated show compared to the last one. But we do have Van Dam in the main event. He's pleased to formally welcome Jim Neidhart to SPW. He knows the Anvil's history is mainly in tag team matches, but he isn't underrating his opponent tonight, and he will be at the top of his game. Again, needs to follow a script. We're going to have to start making that change. In-ring, gets a 76, which is a phenomenal job from Van Dam to do that and get that out of Jim Neidhart, who's obviously towards the tail end of his usefulness. But he's going to do a shift here and gets a 45 in ring. 5-star frog splash is enough for his 18th defence of the world title, and we'll close the show with a 76. Apparently that's lost us popularity in one region, and we would have gained popularity in one British region, but growth was restricted due to the limited number of viewers. How have we managed to lose popularity? Like, what are we at now in the southeast? I can't even remember, but seriously, a 68 does that. That's a risk we're going to have to, we might stop growing in the southeast now, I think. That's probably what's going to happen with, if a 68 is losing its popularity. That's quite a slippery slope. But we'll do show number 130, not 128, as I've named it in here. But there we go. Hopefully the main event of Van Dam and Mero will, be enough to get a good rating. Okay, not sure what happened there, but we are ready for episode 130. Let's go into it, and we'll start out with Bill Goldberg getting a victory in front of 5,132, beating Shanghai Pierce with the jackhammer. Crowd not invested in the slightest. Poor way to start the show. Should have known this was going to happen. Gets a 24 though, and we'll try and bring it back with his promo afterwards, which does actually. It's just a 2-word promo, but who's next is enough to get the crowd back on side. 53 for the segment, unclear afterwards, but he enjoyed going off script, so we'll let him do that again in the future. We then get another match which turns the crowd off. This is going to be a disappointing show, isn't it? Angel Azteca and Shiru in action. La Suistica getting the victory and a 32 overall. They didn't really click, which is a shame. Moving on, and we get the Fantastics back in action with a tag team victory over Tony Norris and Sean Morley. Heinz Driver from Jackie Fulton gets this. Is going to be a poor show. Gets a 40 rating for this match, and it's going to go down the pan here. 41, 41, 31, 34. Low ratings. It's going to be a real disappointment. Marcus Bagwell tries to bring things out, and he's asking a very important question as the TV champion. Why is Tim Horner so ugly? Bagwell doesn't understand why he keeps having to defend his title against the ugliest jabronis on the roster. Gets a 68. Thank you for that, Mr. Bagwell. And the match itself is actually better. Gets a 66. Bagwell and Horner putting a good effort between them. Bagwell at 64, Horner at 54. A little bit off his game. Got good chemistry though. I feel like have we done this match before? Not sure. Anyway, 6th defence of the TV title. I feel like I've said that as well. This is the 3rd time we've done this match. 66, and then we get a promo battle, essentially 2 promos. RVD is out first. He's happy to be teaming with Mero tonight, so they're having their world title clash in a few weeks. Tag team tonight. Happy to look at his challenger in a closer fashion before they get down to real business. And then we cut to Mark Mero, who tells a similar story but mentions that they will be partners when the bell rings. And as soon as the match is over, it was back to being opponents. 73 for Van Dam, 66 for Mero, which is surprising. I thought it would be the other way around. 71 rating overall, though, is enough to hopefully drag the show up. And the match itself gets a 74 as Mero and Van Dam beat Samu and Christian Cage of the Nest. Mark Mero pinning Samu for the 2nd week in a row. Van Dam head and shoulders above everyone else. 79, 70 for Mero, 62 for Samu, 48 for Cage. Closes the show at a 70, so it's a little bit surprising actually with how poor it was to start, but that just shows you main event is all that matters really for the show rating. Gets 30 improvements, 1 British region hampered slightly. How have we done overall? Made big profit on the show, 238,000, which would have been months worth of profit just a few months ago. Popularity recap, yeah. growing everywhere. The 68 now in the southeast is probably going to be the cap for a while. We've got enough growth in Canada, starting to grow, including everywhere else in the UK. and now getting a bit up to 6s in Europe. That'll obviously start ticking over the more and more we have shows that are broadcast on Eurosport. Right, that's the end of the TV taping. We're going to jump forward to the next TV taping next. We're going to have 2 shows in Mexico, which I think we mentioned in the last episode. We're going to have a show every month, free tickets, just to try and boost up our Mexican popularity. I think it's up to 17. I'll have to check. It has just been on screen. I think it's up to 17 in the 2 regions that we are running shows in. If we can get that up 1 every month, that is going to be really beneficial to eventually getting coverage in Mexico. Yeah, 17 in the 2 regions there. We'll try and get that up as well. We've got coverage in Europe now, which is just ridiculous. And we've got a lot of we're doing a lot of contract renewals as well, and those are those people we're looking to hire. We'll cover them when they get here, but we're going through the roster now basically and just shifting everyone over from handshakes to written, not necessarily exclusive written, which is slowly ticking everyone over to a written contract. You can see a lot of people now on them, just to get a bit more security. The ironclad will help basically stop them getting exclusive offers from elsewhere, but we'll cover that more in detail when something important happens. But we've got a couple of Mexican shows next week, and then we'll be back in 3 weeks for the next set of Unleashed tapings, which we need to actually make it so we're just taping 2 shows in the next block. So we look at the calendar there though, so Unleashed will happen on the 29th, the second show that was taped will happen on the 5th, and then we'll be back again after Hostile Territory on the 12th of September for the next batch, and then 1, 2, yeah, so it'll just be 2 lots of 2 tapings before we get to Collision Course. And we've got a season finale coming up in like 9 weeks, something like that, 8 weeks. That's ridiculous. Right, let's go forward, do the Mexican shows, be back for more TV taping as we look to continue building for Hostile Territory. And we are back, ready for the next 2 episodes of Unleashed. Before we get to it though, we did have those 2 shows in Mexico mid-month, and they give us an extra 2 boost in the Norest and Noroccidente regions. So we're up to 19 now there. I think the target is 40, if I recall, to get to a big broadcasting deal there. So we've got a long way to go yet, but we'll see how we get on along the way. Right, let's get straight into episode 131 of Unleashed. And we've got a massive return as we start the show. Everyone's favourite, Joe CAZANA, is back. Crowd love it. But as soon as Joe opens his mouth, that turns around because he states he's disappointed. He finds himself back here. Last time he proved he was something special, but the talent that replaced him have been just average at best. He is above average Joe, and he'll prove it tonight against any one of his so-called replacements. And typically, he struggled going off script, and his gimmick rating was poor. But gets a 42, we move on. We're okay with that. Simmering. In ring, though, he does a good job of beating John Rambo, despite being off his game. Come on, Joe, don't disappoint us by being off your game and struggling all the time. Gets a 51. We're going to rebuild Mr. CAZANA back up, the golden boy, above average Joe, getting back up. He's starting back as a heel though, so see how we can get on. Do the fans still love him? Let him know in the comments whether you still appreciate CAZANA or whether you've turned your back on him. Anyway, moving on. He's beat John Rambo. We go to a slightly turned off bout, I guess. El Sagrado was rusty, but Taka managed to beat him in 12 minutes with a Michinoku driver. Crowd still a little bit unclear, but we're okay. Gets a 32. The in-ring stuff was very sufficient. Taka gets a 48. We're trying to get Taka's popularity up as we've got someone else in the junior heavyweight division who can actually go and get good ratings and isn't a complete unimportant wrestler. Moving on though, Terry Funk struggles without a script in this one, even with multiple takes, not tapes. Came across well though. Van Hammer's training montage continues. Terry Funk calling him every name under the sun for not improving, and he shows that how he's done with. He shows how it's done by locking in a spinning toe hold and making his protege scream. Gets a 51. Not lighting the world up here, and we're still not either with a 48 as the Dirty White Boys. That's Tony Anthony and Len Denton defeat the Flying Morton. So that's Todd Morton and Tyler Morton, who is Kid Cash. He did wrestle very briefly as David Tyler Morton, because I think he was trained by Ricky Morton. Anyway, he's a Morton now. He's Tyler. He was a weak link as well. Only got 17 for his in-ring performance, and he was rusty, and everything else was a little bit below average, let's say that, for the whole match. Still gets a 48 though. Crowd, unclear. I'm hoping the final stretch of Angle and main event pull this back. Raven does his best though. His gimmick's getting a little bit stale, but he's improvised well. He's still unclear about where he's heading though. He still sees the world title in his picture, the world title in his future, but maybe he needs to take a detour along that road. He also discusses the future of the Nest and believes that they're all free to do as they please, as they clearly couldn't help him win the world title back. So that's kind of disbanding the Nest now as we move forward. Anyway, that gets an 80, which is an excellent job. And then we get Marcus Bagwell defeating Steve Simpson and retaining his World Television title in 10 minutes. 62 rating here. Bagwell putting in a strong performance. Simpson, okay, at 41. Nothing world-beating about it, but Bagwell gets another victory. And then we get a RVD promo again, struggling off script. And he doesn't know much. Sorry, he doesn't know who his opponent will be tonight. But that answer is clear when Haku steps through the curtain. The Tongan Savage clearly having destruction on his mind. And the potential world title win very much secondary. Haku's gimmick is awful. And RVD struggled when going off script. This show has not gone very well, I'll be honest. Let's see if the main event can pull it back. It gets a 68 and Van Dam's broken his toe. Oh dear, that's not good timing at all. He put in an 80, broke his toe. Haku really didn't bring much to the table, actually. I'm surprised about that. I was expecting Haku to have a much better in-ring performance than that. 68's not going to be good enough. Broken toe for Van Dam. We've only got a 65 for the overall rating of the show, which is disappointing. We shall see how we can get on with episode 2 of the night, or 132 overall. We're just going to go straight into things. We are having a main event of Mark Merrow and Jim Neidhart, which could potentially be a little bit disappointing. That there we are not. We're going to... No, not that one. Cancel that one. This one here. We want to add to booking sheet, and we are going to script an RVD promo. Then we are probably going to go here. I want to put... yeah, we'll go with this one. We're just I'm trying to figure out an order that's... Oh, hang on. You can't be a road agent. There we go. Dutch Mantel will have to do it. I'm trying to put an order together that will allow the show to flow a little bit. We're going to start it out with another Joe CAZANA promo, and we'll script him this time. We'll work about that. Let's go through. 90 minutes of Unleashed goes now. 4,352 in attendance at the Louisville Gardens, and Joe CAZANA is back again. He talks about all the average people who've been here and accomplished nothing since he left, including tonight's opponent, Stevie Ray. CAZANA will prove he's an above-average Joe once again. 43. Come on, Joe, you can do better than this. In-ring, though, against Stevie Ray, gets a 60. Now, by the time... In the olden days, this would have been one of the best matches in the company. Now, it's barely scraping average. But slightly above average, obviously, because it's got Joe CAZANA in it. 51 for Joe, 57 for Stevie Ray, who we just haven't used since Booker left, really, at all. Angel Azteca and Psicosis put in a good little shift. Only gets a 32, though, because the crowd just do not care about them whatsoever. Again, Angel Azteca is another guy we're trying to build up in the junior division to try and get another potential challenger to that belt. Victory here, though, gets him another victory, obviously, because victory. Moving on. Sheep Herders make their debut. Luke Williams, Butch Miller, again, average in-ring performance. They face the Simpsons and beat them with a battering ram. Got their tag team specialist bonus, but both off their game, which is not good. 43 and 45, again, hoped for better. They do cut a pretty decent promo, only gets a 45 though. After their debut victory, they declare that they want a shot at the tag team titles at Hostile Territory. They've never heard of anything as big as Andre before, but why not start now? I agree, why not start now? And then the mediocrity continues. This has not been a good taping. This really hasn't. Matt Hardy gets a victory over Todd Champion. Twist of Fate. Both men, again, in the mid-40s, gets a match of the 49. It's all hinging on the main event. And before that, we get RVD and Mark Merrow in the ring for the final time before Hostile Territory. They both agree to the terms of the match and are looking forward to a great competition for the world title. No matter the outcome, they will respect each other, and they agree that the best man on the night will leave as world champion. Now, I'm very, very worried that this main event's not going to hold up. It does get a 74, though, and they've got great chemistry. Okay, we're happy with that. Mark Merrow beats Neidhart in the main event. 78 for Merrow. 49 for Neidhart. I'm a little bit worried about RVD's broken toe as well, what that's going to do for the hostile territory main event. 68 is still not good enough, and we only increased our popularity in 20 regions rather than 30 from earlier. Van Dam is okay, 6 days, that's fine. He'll be back before we go to our pay-per-view, which is the Sunday following that. So that's fine, nothing to worry about there. Made money on the show. Popularity, 68 is not good enough for the Southeast. Everywhere else, getting a little boost. Not enough to bump up anywhere in Europe, but slowly, catchy monkey everywhere else. And, well, that's the end. Because of the way the tapings felt, that's the second TV taping and pay-per-view in the month, so we'll hopefully get better gains from Hostile Territory in a few days, which obviously is going to be in a few seconds for you, because we're going to cut soon, and it's going to magically jump forward a week and a bit, like 9 days. So look forward to that. I don't think there's much else to fill in the gaps of between now and then, so we'll just go whilst we're on the loading screen, and you'll be back with Hostile Territory. And just like that, we are here for Hostile Territory. It's the first of our 2-hour pay-per-views now, so this runtime is 131 minutes, so I need to make sure I go and hire a second referee, because I've had to get Angeles Teca to referee 2 matches because Mark Kirst has got too much to do with the 7-match card. So we need to make sure, remind me, to get a second referee ahead of the next pay-per-view, or well, just after this show, basically. We're just going to go straight into it. It's going to be a good one, so let's find out how it goes. We're in front of 21,543 people at the Thompson Bowling Arena, and we start with Joe Kazan, and I should have... this is annoying. Should have probably scripted him. Above Average Joe talks about how he's facing a very average Joey Maggs tonight. Since he left, Maggs has been giving Joes everywhere a bad name, and that stops tonight. 36, disappointing. Crowd already disinterested, which is not good. But we'll bring it back. The match gets a 56. It's not quite done enough to remove that disinterested note, but we'll get there. Joe Kazana beats Joey Maggs in 12.5 minutes, slowly getting Mr. Kazana back up to the levels of popularity he was before we jobbed him out when he threatened to, well, and then did actually leave. So we're rebuilding phase. We're rebuilding, clearly. And it's not helped by the Taka Michinoku-Sean Simpson match, which the fans do not give a crap about, and the creative finish was a failure. It only gets a 29. We are cold and losing interest, which is massive when there's 21,500 people in it. We will turn things around, don't worry. Samu has taken up Raven's offer, although I forgot to do it, to leave the nest. But he still wants the tag team titles, so he introduces his fellow Islander, the Tongan Savage Haku. They are prepared to tear up the very fabric of the company, and probably country, and destroy everyone put in front of them. That gets a 45 crowd now cold. Excellent. 47 for the match, as everyone's off their game. Haku and Samu have got zero chemistry as partners, so we're not going to do that again. But they did defeat the Southern Rockers, which is the debuting Steve Doll and Rex King. So this is well done for those who are aware of who well done are. 47. Not the best at all. Still cold. Move on. Forget about it. Dirty White Boys then lose to the Hardy Brothers. Creative finisher was a failure. This show's going down the pan quickly. Cold crowd still gets a 50. We are trying to pull them back. The Hardys get the job done. Everyone's got a very average 50s performance. We can still go with that, right? Carry on. Move into more tag team matches. The crowd still don't like it. Perry Saturn and Andre the Giant defeated the the Sheep Herders in 10 minutes. Saturn getting the victory over Luke Williams, the Death Valley Driver. They make their third defense of the titles. Saturn does all the work. Everyone else is old. This show is failing. 58, crowd still cold. It's like booking WCW. Finally back to unclear as we get to the final 2 matches of the night. Raven, Bagwell and the Kids defeated Funk, Hammer and Tim Horner. Even Flow DDT on Van Hammer. He was the weak link. Raven got the job done. Match again. Funk, Bagwell, Raven putting in good performances. Everyone else very average. Creative finish at success. Match overall rating of a 70. It's okay. The crowd's still unclear. Let's bring it back again. A Mark Mero promo doesn't quite do it, but it gets an 86. If the main event can pull out a high 70, low 80, this will be fine. Mero knows that getting a second shot at RVD is a blessing, and he's going to put all on the line tonight. He needs victory to validate his belief and his position in the company. If he fails again, it's back to the drawing board, not the brawling drawed. whatever that is. 86 for the promo. Can that lead into a main event? Gets an 80. I mean, that's good. The show rating should still be good. Crowd unclear, though. And, sorry, just brush over it completely, but Mark Mero has beaten Rob Van Dam for the World Heavyweight title. RVD drops it at 82. Mero with a 71. 80 overall is a cracking job. Not quite enough to turn the crowd around fully, which is disappointing. Maybe if it was done to a hotter crowd, it would get an even better rating. But we've got a new world champion. And now, thanks to Alex the Tall over on Patreon, he joined the Tribal Chief tier as a member on Patreon, and he got to help out with some of the booking decisions that went into this match. Basically, I gave him a list of people who would potentially be our next world champion. We were already kind of booking towards Mark Mero, and he gave that the green light. So here we are. You could influence this save even more so than you do already with your comments by joining over on Patreon. But there's no pressure about it. Do not worry whatsoever. 80 though for main event, and we have a segment afterwards, which is also an 81. I didn't script it, so RVD did a poor job trying to improvise his dialogue. Mero did excellent, but the main event is over. We have a new world champion. Despite that defeat, a beaten RVD is the first man up to congratulate the new champion. He hands the world title to Mark Mero, raises his arm high as a sign of respect, and Van Dam promises to work his way back to this position and challenge Mero in the future. But now it's time for the Wildman to enjoy his victory. Gets a 75 overall, so we've managed that one. 32 regions with popularity boost. So he's just going to give out, as we always do, and we'll drop Terry Funk some praise as well, because why not? He does such a good job. Happy, good. Money-wise, massive profit for the show. 1.5 million. Revenue from the pay-per-views up over $1 million now as well. Has been for the last couple of months. Just fantastic job covering all the costs and then some. Popularity, yes, up everywhere, as you would have probably expected. That's 69 and is nice in the southeast, but it's going to make the weekly TV show quite challenging to not hamper our popularity. But up to 6s and 7s in Europe, everywhere in the UK going up, all good stuff. No media scrub because they are very, very dangerous. Okay, we are probably going to end the episode here. It's not been as long as they usually are, but when you're booking 90-minute TV shows and 5 of them, and then 2-hour pay-per-views, it gets quite a lot for a single episode. There's been a lot of TV time happening. I could do the maths, but I'm not going to. Okay, I am going to. 9.5 hours of TV in this episode. You've got your money's worth, so don't complain too much. Joe CAZANA's back as well. Dave Taylor's gone. Buy rate's in 1.25. Hostile Territory does a great rating. Wonderful. How does it sit in terms of our top 100 shows? It sits here 11th, just on a big group of shows under 75 rating. But nowhere near Endgame from last month. Okay, right, we have got, in the next episode, more TV and then Collision Course, because that's our season finale, so we need to get there. I think if we look at the schedule, we've got 2 Unleashed tapings, which will get us to Collision Course, so we're good to go. Once again, thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed, like the video, check out the Patreon, comment down below, and I will get back to you. Thanks a lot, everyone, and I will see you all on the next episode. Whew.